Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the weather warnings as we still have yellow, snow and ice warnings issued in areas in the north and the west, but those wintry hazards will be reducing over the course of the next couple of days with higher pressure building in and a slightly milder air mass pushing in from the west. It will keep it relatively cold, but any snowfall will become reduced, not only because the air mass is warming up slightly, but under the higher pressure with slacker flow, those showers will be fewer and far between. We'll look at the temperatures and the precipitation for the next 5 days on the UKV, and again we'll see how those showers do reduce and the temperatures stay cold in the east but slowly rise further westwards. And then we'll have a look at the longer range, look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles, as it does look likely in the longer term it's going to remain fairly cool, if not cold, with higher pressure building in. It's not a sort of wintry cold spell or colder pattern, but it is more of a high pressure frost and fog sort of pattern, where in the day it's not too bad. It's 5 to 7 degrees, but overnight below freezing, giving a sort of an icy start to the mornings. And there are hints, of course, that high pressure that builds over the top of us gives us slack easterly or northerly winds, could push further northwards, especially with what's going on with the polar vortex at the moment. With that weakening, it could allow that high pressure at very short notice to push further northwards. And if it does, then we could open the door back to some proper Arctic air, maybe very cold, snowy weather once again. But for the time being, not expecting anything too severely cold or wintry within the next week to 10 days. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So do start on the live radar. We still do have some showers around at the moment. Again, not quite as widespread as they have been in the last few days, but we've got a few showers through Northern Ireland, and again these will be turning more towards a wintry mix, if not towards rain over the course of the next day or so, with milder air starting to push in. We had our first attempt from a weather front to push in, and it has slid away down into parts of France. You can see rain is coming in here with milder air, and it is slowly increasing those temperatures across the parts of Republic of Ireland, and that will be rising over the next day or so, and spreading slowly eastwards. We've got some more showers through the northwest and parts of North Wales. Even had reports of Manchester Airport being shut for a period of time. Again, because of these wintry showers pushing through, where they do band up in lines, you can see a few centimetres of snowfall in an hour or so. But again, they are quite sporadic, and they're not too widespread, but they are intense where they do occur. Again, fizzling out about 50 miles or so inland. And again, those showers will continue, but they will reduce in intensity. We still have some quite heavy showers through Scotland. Again, struggling to fall of snow to lower lying areas now, where the air is slowly rising in temperature, but still to any moderate hills and further inland, it is readily still falling as snow, and this will continue until those isobars do start to slacken out. So again, could be seeing some more destructive snowfall at times through Scotland. If put on the temperatures as of around 11:30, you can see it is still a cold day. Not quite as cold as it has been recently, but maybe a degree or two milder. But still, many areas you see these lighter blues, especially over higher ground and where any snow is on the ground as well. The temperatures are still hovering around freezing, maybe 1 or 2 degrees. Oh, you see some darker blues and some hints of yellow. Those temperatures towards that sort of 3 to 5 degree range, maybe slightly higher towards the far west. But I'm expecting this to be sort of the last widely cold day. The Republic of Ireland and parts of the southwest will start to rise in temperature from tomorrow, back up more towards average as we head into the weekend. So if you do now have a look at the weather warnings, you can see we've got a wide array of snow and ice warnings at the moment, but those snow warnings are expiring very soon, so we won't have a look at those in details, because probably by the time you're watching this, those snow warnings would have widely expired. But as we saw on the live radar, there will still be some issues with wintriness. Those ice warnings move into tomorrow, and we'll have a look at them on tomorrow. And you can see again, in those areas where we have seen a lot of wintry showers, we'll continue to see a few showers around, but not warranted of a snow warning. And of course, with the temperatures still quite low, any wintry showers could cause some ice on the surfaces. Again, we've got this warning that is affecting the East Midlands, down Northern Ireland, southwest England, Wales as well. So just quite a widespread ice warning, potential for ice developing and some challenging travel conditions through Thursday night into Friday morning, again from 5 p.m. this evening until 10 a.m. tomorrow. High likelihood, low end of the impact. Wintry showers will gradually die out through Thursday night with skies clearing. Surfaces are expected to fall below freezing, leading to ice developing on untreated surfaces. As we head further north, we've got another snow and ice warning again issued from 5 p.m. tonight until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Again, showers leading to ice developing and some challenging travel conditions through Thursday night into Friday morning. Could be some more wintry showers here. Again, showers will increasingly fall as rain to low-lying areas, but will continue to fall as snow above about 250 metres, where another 1 to 3 centimetres is possible. As you can see, that snow line is rising very slowly, but we could still see some issues with that. But as I said, the main wintry hazards are now past. If you now have a look at the UKV and look at the precipitation and the temperature over the course of the next 5 days, you can see that attempt of a weather front pushing in earlier this morning through the Republic of Ireland, but you can see some wintriness along it, but it did sort of peter away and head out into the near continent, sliding away. You can see those showers in the west and through Scotland continuing through this afternoon, but slowly petering away, especially through England and Wales and Northern Ireland, but continuing a bit in Scotland. Through Thursday evening into Friday, you see some clouds starts to appear from the west, and that's another weather front trying to push in. Again, doesn't have a lot of progress really. It does start to introduce slightly milder air, but for most areas we are still in a relatively cold air mass. But you can see by tomorrow afternoon hardly any showers at all, and that's because we're under higher pressure now with very little instability to produce any showers at all, and the temperatures are slowly rising from the west. Through Friday night into Saturday, precipitation makes more of an impact further westwards. A bit of fog further eastwards as well there. And again, those weather fronts will continue to try and push in all weekend. Again, you'd think, we could see a lot of heavy rain in the west, but the rain will be quite light and patchy, with it sort of getting eaten away by the higher pressure, really. And then through Sunday afternoon, you can see that weather front is trying to push in. You can see the extent of the milder air, and the cloud is now getting across parts of central England, down into the southeast, maybe East Anglia as well. And by Monday morning, we're slowly all into slightly milder air, and then by Monday afternoon into Tuesday morning, you can see even a little bit of lighter precipitation reaches the far southeast. So areas in the west, perhaps tomorrow into Saturday, those temperatures will start to rise. A little bit of precipitation, maybe as late as Monday afternoon or evening for the far southeast to see those milder temperatures and the precipitation. Again, it's not saying it's incredibly mild, but back towards average, maybe slightly above average in the west. And once the high pressure starts getting going, and this precipitation sort of gets edged away, we could start to actually go colder once again with an inversion. You can see the upper air temperatures are going to go a lot milder. You can see how it's still cold through Saturday, and you can see that cold air just lingers in the far southeast, staying around -2, -3 degrees at 850 HPA before eventually getting edged away by Monday into Tuesday. And again, under this higher pressure, we'd expect an inversion to start to take place with the temperatures towards the surface colder than you'd expect with these upper air conditions. If we look through the 2 metre temperatures, you can see today it's another cold day, widely sort of 3 to 5 degrees. Again, colder in spots where we have some snow on the ground and over elevation, but yeah, again, a widely cold day. Through tonight, you see the temperatures once again dropping down freezing, if not lower. Some areas actually hanging on slightly above freezing, but still a widely cold night with ice possible pretty much anywhere. Into Friday afternoon, again, another reasonably cold day. Slightly milder for areas further westwards, maybe 5 to 7 degrees. Further northwards and eastwards, more down to sort of 3 to 5 degrees. Through Friday night into Saturday, another widespread frost through central areas with clearer skies. Even central areas where it's going to be slightly milder tonight. -3 to -5 degrees, looking quite widespread there. So again, a very cold night. And through Saturday in the day, again, a very chilly day, maybe 3 to 5 degrees. But look for the far west, through parts of the Republic of Ireland, maybe southwest England, maybe 7 to 9 degrees, or even up to maybe 10 degrees is possible there. Saturday night into Sunday, you can see the big split coming. You can see through Sunday morning, it's -2 to -4 through eastern areas. But further westwards, well above freezing, with temperatures in the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, parts of Western Scotland, parts of Wales, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 degrees. So very mild overnight. And by the Sunday afternoon, you can see those temperatures are rising to around 3 or 4 in the far east, 10 or 11 in the far west. And then as we head into Monday morning, again, a frost in the far southeast. And by Monday afternoon, still 4 or 5 degrees there, 10 to 13 across the Republic of Ireland. And again, eventually you can see the milder red does stretch into the far southeast. Still relatively cool, but not quite as cold with temperatures more around that 4 to 6 degree mark. But again, once that high pressure gets going, those temperatures could start to fall once again. So the southeast may actually stay pretty cold for the next week to 10 days in general. Now, if you go and have a look at the longer range now, we start on the GFS and see what that's doing today. Now, we've got a lot of uncertainty in the exact air masses and exact wind direction, but we've got quite a lot of certainty with the exact sort of pressure patterns. So we're expecting high pressure to build in, but it's where it builds in. Does it build in directly over us? Does it build slightly to our north, slightly to our south, west, or even east? And that will all change the wind direction and therefore the air mass. Now, the majority of ensemble members and recent operational runs have had the high pressure over top of us, extending northwards and perhaps westwards, which would indicate a northerly or maybe easterly flow. Again, nothing substantial, but cold enough or strong enough really to bring in relatively cool air and temperatures average to below average, maybe the odd wintry shower here or there. But the GFS today actually keeps high pressure further southwards, and you'll see this actually goes a lot milder than what we'd expect, and you can see how it is a bit of an outlier when we see the ensemble members at the end of the video. So you can see the high pressure builds in, which pretty much all the runs do, keeps the high pressure over the top of us, tries to build it further westwards and actually builds a bit of a northerly wind in early next week, but it gets flattened and the high pressure sort of sinks southwards, and we stay fairly west to southwesterly actually here, and again, no signs of anything remotely cold, just dry really in the far south, and by the end of the run even pulling up a bit of a southerly flow there. Again, not ridiculously warm in the upper air temperatures, but we could go a lot warmer there with the right synoptics. So GFS very much backtracking on some of the recent runs. Again, I do just think it's just one of those operational runs where it does fall as an outlier in the ensemble range, as the midnight run, if we have a look at that, right at 384 hours at the high pressure to our north, actually starting to pull a bit of an easterly wind in there. Again, not crazy, but you can see the upper air temperatures are relatively cold, the temperature deviation is below average, and the potential equivalent temperature shows you that that air mass is quite cold indeed. Again, probably wouldn't produce a lot of wintriness because we are under higher pressure, but those temperatures would be down towards the low single digits in the day, below freezing overnight. So you can see a very subtle shift in that high pressure makes a huge difference in the longer range. The majority have more of this midnight run scenario. Fewer have that 6 o'clock run scenario. So again, we'll have to, we have to look at both runs, but I definitely favour more the midnight run from what most of the model data is showing at the moment. If we look at the GEM run, see how that does compare. Again, high pressure building in and trying to pull that slack easterly in. And you can see how the GEM does something similar to the midnight run from the GFS. Again, not producing an easterly here, but producing more of a northerly with the high pressure further westwards. And again, you can just see just persistent, trying to build northwards and trying to pull a bit of a northerly wind in. Again, the lower pressure is much far to our east to make too much of an impact, but it would keep at least the eastern half of the country and the British Isles in general pretty cold. And yeah, it would keep us under the frost and fog and potentially a few wintry showers and generally cold conditions. Again, you can see it's better by having a look at the temperature deviation. That very cold air is just flirting with our east, a good 4 to 6 degrees below average at times, with much milder air further westwards. So again, this situation wouldn't bring us anything bitterly cold. It could lead to that in the longer range through right to the end of January and start of February, but for the time being, it would just give us cold, below average, dry conditions. If we do now compare that to the ECMWF, again, higher pressure building in over the next few days, trying to put a bit of an easterly in, but not being too successful. And you can see, once again, trying to put a bit of a northerly wind in there, for eventually the high pressure does get flattened, and it does go a little bit flat and westerly there. But we're seeing a bit of a transition with sort of low polar vortex heading towards Scandinavia, and you'd expect from this the high pressure to replace it to Iceland, and we start to see a bit of a northerly flow develop there. That's the sort of the pattern I'm seeing here. Once this low clears, that colder air over Greenland starts to flood our way, at least for a time. So yes, the ECWF is at this sort of snapshot is westerly, but the overall pattern definitely still with that higher pressure trying to build further northwards and westwards. Now, because that you can see that well reflected on the ensemble members. Now, the 6 o'clock ensemble members haven't fully come out as I'm recording this, but they've come out to about 12 days or so, any sort of reliable time frame. And you can see it's colder than average for London over the next 3 or 4 days. Slightly above average for maybe 2 days next week. But again, it's not ridiculously mild. And under the high pressure, it's probably going to feel still relatively cool. And then you could see, as we head towards the last 5 days of January, we're back below average by the majority of ensemble members. And some even go really cold, down to -5 or even -10 at 850 HPA. And you can see the operational run there, right on the milder end of the ensemble member spectrum, and again it's a good sort of 5 degrees above what most ensemble members are showing, and that's why I said you have to take it into account, but it's not the real reflection of what majority of runs are showing. So yeah, most are cooler, more below average, and some even really quite cold. And again, the signal for very dry conditions is very apparent with very few precipitation spikes. Again, if we look at the 2 meter dew points, again close to freezing pretty much throughout, again indicating it's quite a cold air mass, and again does mean a lot of showers. If they do arrive, even with a slack easterly next week, it could fall a little bit wintry. And again, if we look at the 2 meter temperatures, again not rising much above 5 or 6 degrees over the course of the next couple of weeks, staying around sort of 3 or 4 the next few days, maybe towards early next week, maybe 6 or 7 for a time, and then back down towards 4 or 5 degrees. Again, a bit of uncertainty with that, but it is remaining fairly cool, at around average, if not slightly below. If compared to the ECMWF, again, very similar, very cold over the next few days, trending above average, maybe a little bit more above average than the GFS was showing. But once again, not expecting it to be particularly mild, as we need to see that sort of air mass hold on for a number of days, not under higher pressure, to see that air mass really filter through. Beyond that, though, we trend more towards average and even below average for the last few days of January and start of February, and again, quite a few colder runs there. Again, still some milder outliers, or I won't say outliers, but milder runs there, but the majority are below the 1981-2010 mean, with quite a few going down to that -5 to -10 region, at least for a time, indicating higher pressure further northwards and westwards, pulling in colder air masses from the north or the east, at least for a time. And again, we'll have to see how it does develop over the course of the next few weeks. Again, we have to keep an eye on it because things can surprise us, especially as I said earlier, with the polar vortex being quite weak at the moment, or trending a lot weaker. That high pressure could very quickly trend much further northwards, penetrating into the Arctic at very short notice, once all that data of the stratospheric warming that we are going to be seeing over the next couple of weeks does filter through to the troposphere. So we will have to see what happens. It's very volatile at the moment, I think. Again, we got the general trend, but the exact air mass, the exact wind direction, we won't be able to say for certain, probably for a number of days still. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Still looks relatively cold to end January. Nothing too wintry, but still quite chilly out there. But of course, it's turning a lot drier, so make sure you do go out and enjoy that. As of course, we had a lot of deluges over the past couple of weeks. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.